It's the Underpowered Hour. On this week's show, Ike and I discuss a wooden picket Range Rover, ice storms in Oregon, a quick trip to Iceland, and whatever's going on in Land Rover news. And now, here's the show. Welcome to the Underpowered Hour. I'm Steve Barris, mild-mannered television executive by day and Land Rover collector by night. You can find out more about our cars and what we're working on at thebarriscollection.com or follow us on Instagram at thebarriscollection. I'm joined, as always, by my good friend, Ike Goss.
Thank you to everyone joining us today. I am the mechanical handbrake to Steven's electric parking lock. I am the terrifying but inevitable role of podcasting, Ike Goss. I own and operate Pangolin 4x4 in Springfield, Oregon, where we live and breathe Land Rovers. Check us out online on Facebook, Instagram at Pangolin 4x4. Let's get started.
All right, Ike. Well, hey, we're back, and it's just you and I. It's just the two of us.
Oh. Thank God we're finally alone.
It's been a while. I feel like it's been months since, we've had a lot of housekeeping to do. We've had a lot of amazing guests. We've had a lot of adventures to recap, and we haven't got down to the business of just some intimate one-on-one.
Here it is. We're down to brass tacks.
That's right. I think that's what the people really.
It's time to disrobe. What are we going to talk about today?
Well, speaking of what the people really want to hear, my favorite thing, and also our good Dan from Rover Talk, we just spoke about this the other day, back up on Bring a Trailer. And in fact, this one's been on there before. Without doubt, my favorite classic Range Rover. All this includes like actual like classic Range Rovers, like a Suffix 2-door in like a color, like an actual collectible, desirable car, a wooden picket convertible.
It is an incredible thing.
Oh.
If you, wooden picket, for those of you that aren't familiar, was a custom coach builder.
Yep.
That was pretty prolific in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
And one of their mainstay products was custom Range Rovers, often, as you might imagine, for the Middle Eastern market.
Yes, 100%.
So
yeah.
if you are a sheik
Yep.
in the Middle East
Yep.
and you want to set yourself apart from other sheiks in the Middle East,
That's right.
you might purchase a wooden picket Range Rover with such features as, multiple television sets.
Yes.
An eagle roost.
Yeah. That.
They really did.
Yeah.
They had elevating seats,
Yep.
ones that would elevate you above your driver and front passenger.
Mhm.
So the rear seats would elevate so you could like fly your Falcons out over the desert and that sort of thing.
Mhm.
Or just look down on people.
Just look down on
which is,
generally, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which is pretty, something that Range Rover owners really like to do.
Yep.
So
It's very chicy.
what better way
Yeah.
than to have seats that go up even higher so you can look down on other Range Rover owners?
Yeah, exactly. No, it is. And this one, I guess it's sold before for what, like 50 something, right? Did you say?
54, I believe, in 2020.
54,000. So not that long ago. Now it's got about 3 days left, I think, and it's 35,000 now. I imagine it will probably go somewhere close to what it did before. I imagine it's in pretty good shape. I have to say, like the paint is in pretty good shape. It seems to be mostly original. They did some suspension work. Like it looks like they've lifted the suspension, obviously, and they of mucking about with that. But for the most looks pretty original, down to the, it has all of the classic wooden picket thing, like speakers in the headrest and giant bizarre speakers in the headrest. I mean, if you look at those seats, the first thing that comes to mind is a Saudi Arabian prince. You can't see anything else, and the steering wheel looks like it's from a 3 Series BMW for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
And there are more gauges in that car than in an F-35 fighter jet. It has just got, you have your finger on the pulse of literally
Just where they got the design for
That's
the
right.
F-35 fighter jet, which is why they went for like $4 trillion over budget in the design of that
Yeah,
airplane.
that's right. And it has one of the nicest features that it has is the flip down glove box on the passenger side, and it's at sort of like leaning over to snort level, which is really nice. It's got like this fold down tray. Some of them were just mirrors, and there's a bountiful amount of cocaine space in front. I like like a little lector in it. There's it's just, anyways, it's a glorious car.
It's a time capsule.
It really
it's
is,
really
yeah.
reminiscent of a particular era.
And nothing's been changed about
Time
the
and
car.
place.
Yeah, it's in really good. It's in like really original kind of condition. Save the suspension, but you could always do that.
So here, this begs a question, Stephen. I know that you want this Range Rover very, very badly. Why are you promoting this auction? It's just gonna drive the price up.
I know, you're right. You're right. It is, but yeah, I don't have the room. This is definitely a car that needs to be kept inside. I imagine it is nowhere close to watertight or anything. And yeah, I mean, it's got all the things, like you look at the top, like the top is in pretty good shape, and this is actually my most favorite wooden picket two-door convertible Range Rover feature. If you look at the back, unlike most convertible like trucks, right, where you think the top goes all the way to the back of the car, right? Like it's flush with the tailgate. Wooden picket didn't make it flush with the tailgate. They made it kind of more like a cabrio, where it has a little bit of a trunk almost. It's got what I like to call the wooden picket convertible Range Rover bum. It's just got like a little bum back there, just an adorable little bum. I think it's my favorite part.
It's a very distinctive feature.
It is a distinctive feature. I like it.
And there are very few cars in the history of automobiles that have that similar feature, but there is one. Which we talked about before the show. Right. It is the Furvis Ranger. And for those of you unfamiliar, the Furvis Ranger is perhaps the pinnacle of automotive engineering.
It really is. And I mean, who wouldn't be familiar with the Furvis Ranger?
I mean, I am.
Once you've seen the Furvis Ranger,
I assume most people are.
You're a changed person. You'll think of your life as, before I knew about the Furvis Ranger, and then what comes after, because it really is. It's that incredible of a car. Really amazing.
Yeah, if you want to Google this thing, it's FERVES, the Furvis Ranger. This is a factory built Fiat micro forward control 4x4. And it's incredible. It looks like a 4x4 bumper car. If you could picture a 4x4 bumper car.
That's right.
This would be it.
That's what it would be.
And it has a tiny convertible top and also has a very distinctive little bump.
It has a little bump.
Just like you like.
I do. I like little car bums. And these cars both have little car bums right behind their little soft tops. And
it is pretty adorable. Go out and get yourself a wooden picket Range Rover and a Furvis Ranger.
Yeah, absolutely. And
we should get a Furvis Ranger and do a
mod kit
test of the Furvis Ranger.
We should do. Oh yeah, which is better, the off-road, the wooden picket Range Rover or the Furvis Ranger?
Here's a question for you, Stephen. Which do you think there are more of? Furvis Rangers or running Freelanders?
No, I guarantee it's Furvis Rangers. It's always Furvis Ranger. It's always anything and running Freelanders. It's always the other thing. It's just how it is. But we are coming close to the first YouTube video. Speaking of Dixon's favorite topic, the NAS Freelander, we're getting close to a video of Liza has got the car, running. Air quotes around that. But it moves under its own power.
Running.
Which is something.
Moves under its own power. Yeah. Like you turn the air conditioner on full blast
and it open the back window and it kind of like
pushes forward a little bit.
Yeah, then it works. So, there you go. Speaking of moving under its own power, we reached out to a company called Bambu Labs. Bambu Labs, makers of fine 3D printers the world over. And
the finest,
only the finest, to let them know that there's a little show called The Underpowered Hour that is a big fan of 3D printing. We use a ton of it here in the shop down at the old Barris collection and find it to be very useful for making little jigs and specialty tools and even little parts for the cars, especially things like our patented Series 1 cup holder that is real important when you're going through the drive-through in your 80-inch because, you need 4 hands to drive that car. And, I don't have a 5th for the latte. So got a little cup holder for that. But we reached out to them and we gave them someone else's YouTube channel and podcast as our own.
Smart.
And they were nice enough to send us a printer to play around with. And so, we're going to be doing some 3D printing with the Bambu Carbon X1, which is a very fancy printer. It can print all kinds of different materials. It has a little guy that sits on top that has 4 rolls of material in it, and it can switch between them. And it actually, when it changes between them, it actually poops the difference out the back of it, like a little chute, like it just poops it out. So kind of cute.
That's your favorite part,
That's my favorite part, yeah. Sometimes it'll get stuck in the chute and you got to get up there and you got to get it out. So
I don't know that I like this.
That's what you
discussion.
do. You just have to get in there and clean it out.
But I am excited about the printer, and we're going to come up with some really fun things to do with this 3D printer. So if you have an idea for a Land Rover related item, either some sort of knob or fixture or something that you think would be really handy, some accessory that you're like, man, I wish we could do that, send us a note. We'd love to hear from you and get some ideas on what we should use this printer for with respect to your Land Rover project.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we're going to be, it's really exciting. So thank you to the fine folks at Bambu Labs for your support of the podcast and the YouTube channel and all of that sort of business. And if you'd like to see Abigail and I unboxing it and all that sort of stuff, we're in the process of putting those YouTube videos together. So head on over to the YouTube channel and check it out, as we're going to be doing all kinds of shenanigans, and we're going to be making stuff, sending it up to Oregon for Mike and Linus to wrench away on or to do whatever. So and do send us in those ideas, and we'll print them up, see what happens.
It's going to be great.
Yep, structural parts for Linus's overalls. We'll give it a go.
Speaking of parts for overalls, my understanding is the supply chain crunch over at JLR has somewhat eased up, and that is allowing them to complete more vehicles. I imagine that's good for the bottom line.
It sounds like it, because for the first time in a little while, profits are up. Profits are up at the old JLR.
Yeah. The stock price of Tata Motors has nearly doubled in the last year. So for those of you that like to invest in such things, invest in your favorite off-road vehicle.
Is that mostly on the sales of Tuk Tuk?
According to the article I read, 2/3 of Tata's revenue is from JLR. I could not believe that.
That doesn't make sense at all.
That didn't seem to make sense to me, but that's what the article said.
Wow.
But that we need to send that down to the fact checkers downstairs because that does not seem right.
Wow.
However, they do not have a separate stock listing for JLR, only Tata Motors. Tata Motors stock is up, and through accounting, creative accounting or otherwise, profits are up at JLR.
And this is despite the fact that now insurers are refusing to insure your Range Rover depending on where you live in and around England. Some parts of London are now black zones for insuring your Range Rover. So in order to combat that, JLR has started its own insurance program to insure its Range Rovers. And this stems from the key fob hacking, or whatever you want to call it, entry system hacking of certain models of Range Rover, where sophisticated hackers like those found in, like the nerdy guy in every heist movie that sits, near a fountain or something with his laptop and, types away furiously as the guys, stand in a parking lot with a crowbar saying like, hurry up, keys, we need to get into the car, like that. That's happening a lot, I guess, in England, although with English accents, I imagine. But as a result of that, JLR has started their own insurance program, and they've posted a video on YouTube explaining it, how it'll work and how you can get it and what have you.
Yeah, that's probably a very popular video. I imagine a lot of people are watching the Land Rover insurance program YouTube channel.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's real.
But if you've got a Range Rover, that's important stuff, because there for a minute, it seemed like a lot of vehicles were going uninsured, and people were having to sell them or offload them because they couldn't register them without insurance.
Yeah, you'd have to sell them into an area where you could insure them, and you'd end up kind of taken a bath on them, I imagine, because
Which in England is very difficult. It's very difficult to find a place where things are not getting stolen.
it's not a very big country, so you kind of have to go real.
You know, when I first went to England, this has been a long time ago, I was not prepared for the level of property crime that exists there. I went to a large internet cafe back when there were such things.
Yeah.
I was like happily typing an email, and I had my backpack on the floor next to me. And I bend down to get something out of it, and I look under, and this is a huge internet cafe. There's just like tons of tables with computers on them. And I look under, and there are thieves crawling around on the ground, cutting people's backpacks open to get their phones and other valuables. It was amazing. I was not like, you could see for hundreds of yards under this under these tables, and there was just like at least 3 guys going around stealing things. I was not prepared for that.
Yeah.
And that, you know, you read these Land Rover magazines from the UK, motorcycle magazines from the UK. At least 2/3 of every issue is devoted to devices to keep your Land Rover or motorcycle from getting stolen.
Yes.
You know, testing those devices. And some of the devices they have for keeping your Land Rover from getting stolen are incredible.
Yeah.
They're like boxes that you lock around your pedals.
Yeah.
There's it like steel rings that go around your steering column.
Wheel. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's various boots that you can put on the wheel of your car.
Yeah.
Shifters that chain to the dash.
Yeah.
You know, like they're serious over there. I bought a Land Rover from the UK, and I bought this Land Rover for $500 from someone, and I got it back, and it had like kind of a draw on the electrical system. And I was like, I better investigate this draw on the electrical system. I bought this Land Rover out of a swamp. It was like a 65 Series 2A. At any rate, I go to investigate the electrical draw, and there are no fewer than 4 alarm systems on this Series 2A. I can't imagine that this person didn't spend far more than the vehicle was worth on alarm systems.
One of the alarm systems was simply to protect one of the other alarm systems from being stolen. So
I think 3 of those were actually, you know,
redundancies on top of redundancies.
It's a island entirely populated with criminals.
That's exactly
so
right.
I mean, you won't get shot there, but you will be stripped naked.
Yeah,
all your stuff.
Take all your stuff. Stolen. Yeah, they're going to take all your stuff. Yeah, no, it's interesting. It's a big problem, but thankfully JLR is there to step in and I guess self-insure you. So interesting how that will work out. And I guess they are working on a fix to make it so that I don't know, hackers can't get into. They can't hack your net. You know, make it so that they can't hack your net.
They're going back to just keys.
Yeah,
that's what
they're just going to keys.
Can't hack the key.
Can't hack the key. Yeah, it's just a key. You know, you just stick it in the lock.
Hackers won't know what to do with it.
They don't know what to do with it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, it's going to be great.
They're just going to start selling 80 inches again. Nobody knows how to drive. They don't know what to do.
You say that, but on Facebook, on the Series 1 Brotherhood Facebook group this week, there was, I believe, an 80 or 86 inch that was stolen.
Oh, wow.
So if you've seen some squirrely folks driving 80 inch Land Rovers, keep an eye out for that.
It would have to be a 60 or 70-year-old person recently let out of a long-term prison sentence, I imagine.
Oh, you think that's
I think that's what it's going to be.
Another great train robbery?
Yeah, it's a geriatric theft situation. I think that's the only way that it would be. You know, it's like one last heist.
Sounds like a Morgan Freeman movie.
Yeah, right? I think that's what it's got to be, right? It's The Rock. Yeah. You know, he burrows out of jail and steals an 80-inch, you know, because it's what he knows. You know,
I'd watch that. Speaking of Land Rovers in the movies.
Yeah, speaking of,
there is not necessarily a movie, but a Hulu mystery murder series called Murder at the End of the World.
Yeah, Murder at the End of the World.
It's sort of like it also has hackers in it.
Now, does this take place in Antarctica? Is that why it says at the end of the world? Iceland.
Iceland. Yeah,
I'm not of the world technically.
Yeah, I wasn't in charge of naming.
That's okay. That's all right.
That's the name of this, and it's sort of a gotcha whodunit, for the
I like
the
that
21st century.
I like
near future technologies running rampant, AI this and robots that, and it has a girl with a dragon tattoo sort of flavor to it.
People like that. Yeah, they like that.
Yeah,
that's popular.
People like that. Yeah. So there's a sort of a hip, hotel sort of thing, and all these people from around the world all these technical experts have been
Yes,
brought to this place by a mysterious and reclusive billionaire.
as you do.
And
as you do.
as you do,
Yeah.
and people start to drop dead.
Oh, yeah.
And the only
sure.
way that they can get around is Land Rover Arctic trucks. So they've got
Yeah.
several
Yeah.
Defenders in the series that
Mhm.
they drive around in Iceland. The Defender 130 and
Yep.
110s with the
110s, yep.
snow tires.
Yep. Those are prepared by our very good friends and we got to have those guys on the show at some point, but by our good friends at Arctic Trucks out of Iceland. And they prepare the Defender. They bought, what was the company that bought the last 26 or 30 or whatever Defenders off the line? Arctic Trucks did something similar. They ordered, I think Emil was saying, like they ordered 30 or 40 white 110s in the last year of production and had them shipped to Iceland, as that's what they use as their primary platform. And they use it for tourists. Our good friend Nolan Yap, he rented one of the 110s when he was in Iceland doing his, he was on there on vacation doing some photography and stuff. They take the regular 110s and you can rent one of those, but then they also have the high flotation tire, or the glacier cars, they call them. They're real cool. They run on the high flotation tires. They have like raised suspension and giant fender flares and big running boards and stuff so that you can go out onto the very loose packed ice and out into, real much deeper snow and stuff. And they're very cool. But Emil Grimson is the gentleman who founded Arctic Trucks and runs Arctic Trucks, and he's a good friend. And we did all of the North of the Wall stuff for Game of Thrones in Iceland. And we just finished shooting True Detective there, the latest True Detective that's going on right now, the Jodie Foster one. We also shot there, and we used Arctic Trucks again.
I didn't realize that that was there.
Yep. It's supposed to be Alaska, but it's actually.
I've watched the first 2 episodes. Oh. It's quite good.
Yeah, and we used Emil for that too. We used Arctic Trucks.
I'm sensing a theme here. These sort of Arctic murder mystery Defender crossover things.
It's very popular.
It's popular.
Very popular. Yeah, it's very popular.
Speaking of ice and snow, we have had
Speaking of the
incredible. Speaking of the Arctic, we have had an incredible ordeal here in Oregon. We've got a unprecedented cold front, as well as a normal amount of precipitation. Actually, I take that back. We've had double the amount of precipitation that we normally get here in Oregon. And if you know anything about Oregon, it does rain here. So
sure does.
Tremendous deluge of precipitation. Although I would say the most notable precipitation has been all of the trees in town have fallen over.
Oh, no.
They have fallen over. And, we had a big ice storm.
Yeah.
2 or 3 inches of solid ice built up on everything in town. So it was really beautiful.
Yes.
All the trees and plants and
people,
less mobile people were all covered in ice. And the vehicles were covered in ice, and it was extremely difficult and time consuming to break the ice up and get a vehicle out, even if it was capable of driving. And most vehicles are not capable of most drivers are not capable of driving on solid sheets of ice.
Right.
And the whole town was covered in this, and the weight of the ice just broke most of the trees in town. So thousands of trees fell over, literally thousands of trees fell over, and they fell on houses, they fell on vehicles, and they most notably fell on power lines.
Yes.
And so I think something like 80 power line poles fell during the storm.
Oh,
and the entire town of like 200,000 people, most of them were without power for a week or more. We were without power for 10 or 11 days here at our house, and a tree fell on the power line and ripped it off of the house.
Yes.
And our good friend of the show, Linus Tremaine, had a huge tree in his backyard.
Yes.
And it split into 4 pieces and basically crushed everything in 4 different directions. So his deck, his roof, his fences, like it just smashed everything, like thousands and thousands of dollars worth of damage. Really a serious incident. The power was out to the wastewater treatment plant in town. And so they had to have a boil water notice. So people were without water without power, people on wells who didn't have power, didn't have any water at all. It was a big ordeal for people. I guess people aren't used to that. They're saying, once in a generation sort of weather event. People went insane. They bought all the propane. They brought all the firewood. They bought all the bottled water. They just everybody
bought everything. Yeah, there's nothing left.
Everybody, yeah. Tempers were running pretty hot, and people were pretty upset. But we were able to get around. We chained up the Series 1 Land Rovers, and we were tootling about town, cutting up trees for people and pulling cars out of the ditches and stuff like that. So we were pretty mobile, and we were able to help some other folks. But it was definitely a challenge.
Wow, that's fantastic.
I mean, it was fantastic, but we didn't have any heat in our house for
the better part
quite some time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 33 degrees inside our house. It was cold.
It was very cold. Now, do you guys have like a wood burning stove, fireplaces, anything like that, or?
We do. We have a fireplace in our home. However, we are currently in the midst of a long-term remodel, and we have no ceiling in our house, so no real way to keep that fireplace. Not that fireplaces are very good for heating homes anyway.
Right.
So we were definitely huddled around the fire. We just kind of
a lot of cuddling happening. Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. You just bundle up and hope for the best. But it was crazy.
Wow.
But honestly, it was kind of interesting. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
But power was out at the shop for quite some time.
Yeah.
Power was out, just like I said, all over town. So
how did the workshop fare in all the ice storm and everything? The building's okay, and how's the horse?
The horse is okay. Yeah, we stopped by and checked on the horse and fed him some carrots. But the horse was having a great time.
Yeah, okay.
He was out there rolling around in the snow and ice and just having a good old time. But most other people were not having a good time. Most other people.
I can only imagine.
Almost all businesses were closed.
Yeah.
All the schools were closed.
Yeah.
There were children running amok. But
Wow.
it was definitely interesting.
Wow. Well, no question about it. Well, a little adversity thrown in there for the people of Oregon. That's good for you guys.
Yeah, the people of Oregon just really can't have enough adversity, to be honest. So my property, which I have this small wooded lot south of town, it's about 20 acres.
Yeah,
there are probably 100 trees that have fallen there that I will have to saw up.
So join us later this summer for the Underpowered Hour Chainsaw Fest, hosted in rural Oregon, and bring your chainsaw.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be great. Whoever chainsaws the most trees wins a 3D printed tiny Ike. It's going to be great.
If you have a PTO powered wood chipper, I would like to hear from you.
I would like to hear from you. Yeah, so it's going to be great. Anybody needs some wood chipped mulch? You know who?
Firewood? Come on down.
Yeah, come on down. Crazy Ikes. A lot of firewood.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be
cut
great.
your own.
It's going to be great. He's going to make a log cabin out there.
Several log cabins.
Whole little guest area of log cabins. It's going to be fresh cut log cabins. Nothing better. Nothing better. All right. Well, with that, if you haven't headed over to the old YouTube, please do. We've got the forward control video is up, Ike. You can check us out going up there, getting Carlos, and stopping at Pea Soup Anderson's, which after 100 years has announced they're closing because we stopped in and got some pea soup.
I can't imagine why.
I think they've actually had the same pea soup going for basically 100 years. They just keep kind of like dumping in some new. They never actually turned it off.
New batch in the morning.
Yeah, they've never really turned it off. They just kind of, keep it going. But
it's kind of like the Tootsie Roll format.
That's right.
There's theoretically some small part of the original batch in there somewhere.
Yeah. Anyways, unfortunately, we put them out of business, I guess, accidentally by our short visit with the forward control. So I apologize to Pea Soup Anderson's for that. But that video is up, and we're working away on other things. Liza and Jenna's Rebel Land Rover Women's panel from Destination Defender is going to be up there real soon. So check that out. And of course, Ike and I's stellar performance from the Defender Trophy and our general recap of Destination Defender. Those are up there now. So you can take a look and see what you think.
It's going to be great.
Yep, it's going to be great.
It's going to be great. Hop on down to the store, buy some stuff.
There's good stuff. Stickers. You got stickers. We got t-shirts. You got everything you want. We got the little books.
The spring collection is out, and you need to get on board.
You do need to get on board.
Hop on down there, get some seasonal Land Rover gear.
Yeah, send us in your ideas for 3D prints. What do you need? What do you think Linus needs printed 3D? He's game for anything.
Some sort of marital aid, I'm sure.
Yeah, maybe a beard comb of some kind. I don't know. Whatever. He'll do it. Well, with that, it's been a slice. We'll see you next week.
All right. See you on the trail. Bye, Steven.
The Underpowered Hour is produced by Liza Barris, Ike Goss, and me, Steve Barris.
Pavel Svardov composed and performed our theme music. Consider supporting the show on Patreon, and if you already do, thank you. Your support makes the show possible. For even more, check out our Instagram or Facebook.